I gotta get it because I don't know really where I'm making it. I don't know what I'm doing yet. So I don't know if I'm gonna need my mixer or if I was gonna do it in bulk. So we'll figure it all out.
It's gonna need us.
Woo! Finally.
Should you turn yours the other way? Where?
What do you mean?
Turn the whole
Are
thing.
you worried about your sound?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we have to turn it the other way though, don't we? Is that
Oh,
better?
you're on your phone.
On our iPad.
iPad.
iPad. Excellent.
Hey, you guys.
I can't see you, Debbie.
That's intentional.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I have no makeup on and my hair is a mess. And to be honest, I haven't even taken a shower yet.
Well, there you go.
Information for you.
No, it's okay. That's how I am most days. So, but I walked this morning, so I came back and took a shower.
Oh,
Yeah, I went to church and walked today. I am
Debbie.
good.
you did good.
Love the way you look.
Huh?
No matter how you look.
Oh, I love you.
I said self-love.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, Aunt Debbie, Kenan bought case, what is that? Creamy jalapeno?
Creamy jalapeno from
Saw
Chewy's. I
Chewy's.
don't think they have Chewy's down there.
And he won't share with me because he said he paid for it.
Oh, that's gonna be a conversation I'm gonna have afterwards then.
I got the small, I meant to get a bigger thing. I got the small one.
I could tell you your mom and your dad have been paying for your food since you were born. You better share.
Oh, yes, since birth.
I'm grocery shopping for the day.
Look at this.
That doesn't mean anything. Hey, Margot and Andy,
Hey,
Hi.
all the way in New Hampshire. How are you guys doing?
We're,
All right.
we're doing.
That's good, good. I know, I feel bad because you guys are on video and I'm not. Sorry about that.
It's okay. No worries.
yeah, I haven't showered yet either.
He seriously has
I
not.
just walked in the house.
Oh, good, I
been
feel
working-
better now.
He's been working on a snow machine.
You guys have snow right now?
No, we're trying to get it out of the yard.
Oh, hey, Teresa. Hey, Dan. Dan's not in here. I saw him a second ago, I thought. And maybe a party for the Clishes. And you guys are in trouble. You guys are in trouble because I don't know how to do this. That's why I asked Dan. I'm like, can you do this for us?
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
I know Judy wanted to get on today and do
Yeah, I
this.
sent it to her. Yeah, I sent her all the information. and she said she was
Okay.
gonna join us. Yep.
Oh, good.
Let me just go next door. Hold on a second. I'm gonna just see if Dan's having issues. Hold on.
I'm actually able to work on it. Okay.
Hey, Dan. I wonder, this is weird. Hold on a second.
Debbie, he is there.
Oh, hey, Dan. There you are.
Debbie,
Keep
do you
unmuted.
see me?
Let me go in. Hold on a second.
Because I don't see you.
There's Dan. I can see you, Dan.
All right, I'm in
Debbie, she
You're
said
not
talk to
seeing
you
me.
today.
Yeah, I didn't take a shower today, so you're not going to see me.
Oh,
there.
bless your heart.
That's all right.
I didn't ask to smell you.
I don't judge when we're all stuck at home forever.
Oh, and I saw
smelling
Dan
allowed.
this morning too, Dan. Did you notice I didn't take a shower?
No. No.
All right, Dan. So this is my family. We've got someone
Hi.
from New Hampshire,
Hey there.
Margot and Andy from New Hampshire. We've got Teresa down in Georgia, and then my sister-in-law and nephew in Nashville.
Perfect. I'm going to warn you guys. I have 2 kids here, and let me.
That's okay. We want your kids.
Oh, you say that. But we're gonna put a movie on in the background, so that should hopefully help with that. But just know that it's probably gonna be you're gonna hear like a Frozen soundtrack or something.
That's okay. That's all right. And then we're expecting Andy's
No.
sister-in-law from Minnesota. They should be joining pretty soon too.
That-
No, they're gonna actually be watching on, hi, sweetheart.
she's not there.
They're gonna be actually watching. They're driving back home, so she's not,
Oh,
but she's watching.
I do
Thank
have
you.
to record it, so I'll put it on YouTube afterwards. Not that anyone's
Perfect.
actually gonna watch it outside of the people that are on here, but just so you guys
Oh,
know.
that'd be great if you put it on YouTube.
Yeah, I did it
I
last
can see you,
time.
Teresa.
What was that?
I said I could see you, Teresa.
I'm not baking with you.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
all right. I'm glad that you're going to be here with us, so you're
I
fine.
love this visit though. This is cool. Where's Linda?
I'm right here.
Hey,
Oh,
Linda.
you,
Hi.
because Linda's not popping up on my screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I missed your face.
Oh, yeah, Linda's on mute.
Oh, okay. I'm eating French toast. Forgive me.
Like every time I'm talks, they do.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, just a little conversation. So we've got Linda in Georgia also.
Okay, why don't you go sit down with mommy?
I'll do this.
All right, cool. So let's make cinnamon buns.
Yay.
I'll put the recipe in the chat here real quick, just so we have it.
Thank you.
The picture that I sent, I don't know, Debbie, if you sent that out or not, but the picture
I did, but it was hard to read, they said.
yeah, the type thing is for a double batch, so it's like 2 9x18s, which is a lot. That's 24 cinnamon buns. So unless you're having a party or whatever else, I'll put in for half of that. But just know, obviously, you can double or half it or do whatever you want.
Okay.
I pre-prepped a half amount, or actually a quarter amount, so it's only like 6, just because we just made it for Easter.
Hey, Dan,
Yes.
before you start, I just want to say one thing. So Dan is my neighbor next door, and so I am fortunate. I've been here 4.5, 5 years, and whatever Dan makes, I'm able to consume. So it could be pretzels. So we've got to do a pretzel class because those are amazing. His pizza. I mean, what else? Oh, you've made pasta. I went to one of your pasta classes at your house. So he's an amazing baker. So they call him Dan the Bread Man. And I just saw, Dan, that you're wanted at the Chattery.
That's a sign somebody asked about that. I don't know if I'm ready for prime time.
Well, when I saw that, Dan, I'm like, wait, he's mine. I'm gonna share him with my family, not with Chattanooga yet. So that's pretty impressive. I just wanted to share that because he is really good and very giving. So I appreciate you doing this for us, especially
course.
doing it on a Sunday and doing it free for us. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Is your last name really nice?
It is nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Funny enough,
nicest people.
my
That's
my
really
mom's
nice.
maiden name was Gross, so she went for
That's
Gross.
really nice.
That's my funny joke for the day.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so just give me a second. I'm typing this out.
Fine. You're on mute. Do you have any comedy relief?
I do not. The movie starts. now, so.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, can everyone hear me?
Yes, everybody can.
Oh, great. Okay. So my Jello Zoom was fabulous. I don't know if any of you caught that, but it was great.
Did anybody go?
Yeah. Oh, lots of people. I probably had
Good.
500 people. And then, and so tomorrow I'm doing cereal. So if you want to hop on, watch that, it'll be just as good as the Jello, I'm sure.
Okay. Can you send us the link?
Oh, the link. Yeah, I'll send you the link. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Thank you.
It'll be under Kellogg's. Okay, got that?
Thank you. Yeah, and
Okay.
you can see Linda's show tonight at midnight.
Yeah, 8 midnight. Yeah.
All right.
How come I can see Dan sometimes and then I can't see him?
It's probably because
Oh, there, I see you now. Okay.
because when I'm not talking, it automatically
Oh, okay.
rearranges everything. I don't know if there's a way where I can just pin myself to everybody. But when everybody, like when we start, I'll just mute everybody, and then you won't be able to see. Like then I'll be front and center.
Oh,
for
that's
better or worse.
okay. Mm-hmm.
That's
Um,
good.
All right, almost done. Sorry.
So while Dan is adding that, just to introduce everybody, so we've got my cousin up in New Hampshire in the snow,
Oh, cool.
Margot and Andy.
Hi.
And then we have Linda and Teresa in Atlanta. I know them from my church in Atlanta or
Yeah.
Snellville.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister-in-law and my nephew out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So they're in also.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Margaret, did you say that Judy was listening?
She said she was gonna pop on and listen.
Okay.
They're traveling.
Okay, so they're my cousins in Minnesota. And I'm sure they have snow there too, right?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think
I think
so.
it's all gone
It's
there.
all gone.
Okay. So that's who's with us today. So thanks for joining
can
us,
hear that.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this, Debbie.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it. It's Dan.
But you coordinated it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You too. This is fun. It gives us a little break.
Exactly. That's how I feel
I'm
too.
gonna try putting my headset on.
Okay.
I actually ventured out to the store yesterday for the first time in almost 6 weeks.
And
Oh,
how was your
wow.
experience?
It was a nightmare.
Oh, no.
I was one of few in there wearing a mask and gloves.
The workers?
What was that?
The workers?
The workers
you?
all had gloves and masks on. Most of the customers did not. And there was a man picking out oranges at the same time I was, and I said, am I the oddball here? Very few of us seem to have masks on and gloves. And I tried to give everybody that wasn't wearing one evil looks over my mask, and it didn't go over well. That mean spirit in me said, lady, get yourself covered up. But this nice man said, I work in children's health care. It's important I take care of that.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you
Very
just
good.
I just called them out, the ones that didn't have it, because they don't know who's saying it when you have the mask on. So I just move away from them and yell it, and then they don't know who said it.
I will
It,
tell
wor-
you,
it works. It works.
I will tell you though, the one thing, and Debbie, I will write a story. This is your story. When I was checking out, I saw a little blurb someplace to keep Q-tips with you to use at the ATM machine on the buttons. So I turned to the lady behind me. She had a mask on, no gloves. Her daughter was with her, no mask, no gloves. But I gave her some Q-tips. And I could tell through her mask that she smiled
Oh, that was nice.
when she said thank you. And
Oh.
I said, I figured out what I'm missing most of all. Everybody's smile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Uh-huh.
There are nice people out there, Teresa. You're one of
Oh,
them.
there's,
Yeah. Mhm.
thank you. With the mask on, you can't see the smiles. And
That's
people
Yep.
true.
don't
Yep.
know that you're smiling at them.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the good thing is,
I
Okay.
have said to people, I'm smiling under here.
Say that again.
I said, I have said to people, you know, when I nod my head, I'm smiling under here.
well, you know,
Well,
the good thing is, you guys, we can see Dan and he's smiling. So
Yeah.
Dan,
Ah,
you ready to
All right.
start?
Yeah, let's, I'm ready to get started. Sorry for the
Let's do
delay.
it.
So I put the recipe in the chat.
Linda,
That's-
be quiet.
Here, I'm
Okay.
gonna mute everybody. I just, let's see here. Okay, I just muted everybody. If you have questions, feel free to either unmute or put in the chat. Either way. But in the chat, there's a recipe. That's for 1 9x13 or whatever. So it makes about 12, like a full pan. You can make less than that. You can make more than that. Do whatever you want. I think some of the people here weren't on before, so I'll give my little overall bread spiel. I have in here metric, you know, so the grams, but then also volumetric. In general, with bread, now this recipe is relatively forgiving, but in general, the way to be successful is to actually weigh it. So if you get a kitchen scale, they're like 10, 12 bucks on Amazon, you'll be much more likely to actually have consistent results and get the results that you want. And the reason why is that every flour is different, you know, so if I come in here and just even tap it down, you'll see the flour just kind of settles and compresses. And so if I take a cup and scoop it in there, I don't really know how much flour I actually have. So, you know, the way to be consistent with it is just to weigh it, because then you're always going to get the exact same amount of flour within there. What else? The only other thing I'll say in here before we start going is you'll see I put the instant yeast, because that's what my book calls for. Most of you are probably going to have active dry yeast. So the difference being, it looks, I mean, this is like that common one that you find at the recipe. If you're using active dry, just use more, about 1.5 times. So there's different conversions. There's a couple different types of yeast. Most likely you're using active dry. If you happen to have instant, then just follow the exact. But putting a little bit more yeast in there isn't going to hurt anything. The other thing that is probably different than what most people are used to if they've made some sort of bread product in the past is almost everything that I do doesn't overnight ferment. So we'll make the dough tonight, then you can leave it and put it in the fridge, cover it with, you know, saran wrap, put it in the fridge, and then just let it sit for 1 night, 2 nights, however long, you know, whatever you want. And then when you want to make it, you can just take it out and make it. Now, what that does is that the 2 biggest areas where I see people with errors, number one is that the flour to water ratio is off because you didn't measure the flour. You measured it with a cup versus weighing it out. And so learning to get really good at like understanding what dough should feel like is important with that. But you can also just weigh it and then avoid the problem that way. And then number 2, the other way is that in that rise time, what they, you know, what some people might call ferment, if you make it right away and then let it rise right away, there's a lot more room for error because it's all heated up. It's going to rise faster. And the problem is that if you let a bread product rise too much, it will collapse. And so then you can end up with either something that didn't rise enough, or it collapsed at the end, and it's just not very good. And so the way that you can slow it down but still get really good results is just put it in the fridge. And so if you put it in the fridge, you know, minimum I'd say just a couple hours to chill it, but ideally overnight. Then that just makes life a lot easier. It makes it much more likely that you'll be successful in making whatever you're trying to make. So those are just generally my 2 tips. The other thing I would say is that if you actually want to learn stuff, this guy has a bunch of books, Peter Reinhardt. They're like 10, 15 bucks on Amazon. That's how I learned. Now I had a lot more trial and error in there. You know, if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask me, but it's really easy. I mean, it's a good book to make really, if you want to make professional kind of bakery level breads, that, you know, that's where I learned to do mine. So good start. But anyway.
Hey, Dan, can I just ask one question? I want to make sure that with the flour, you said if I don't have a scale, put a little bit more in?
So
Then-
the flour, if you don't have a scale, then we're gonna do it by feel, okay? And I'll try to describe as best as possible what the feel is when we do it. The yeast, that's the one where if you have instant versus active dry, just look at what type of yeast you have. If it's active dry, just use 1.5 times what I put in the chat. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions before we get going? Well, I think she's trying to talk. Did you have a question, Teresa?
Yes, I'm sorry. What was the name of the cookbook author again? Peter Reinhardt?
Peter Reinhardt, yeah.
Reinhart?
R-E-I-N, yep, exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
He's got several. I haven't had a bad book from him. The one that I have is Artisan Breads Every Day. But I bought that one mainly because there was a lot of recipes. There was more recipes in there that I wanted versus the other books. The other book that is really good is Bread Baker's Apprentice, I think it's called.
What's it called?
The Bread Baker's Apprentice.
Oh, okay.
And then, I mean, he's got a bunch of them. I have like a pizza book from him and some other ones too. So.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll check them out.
Let's see here. Okay, so to get started, I'm gonna have a scale. Like I said, I weigh everything. So if you don't have a mixer, that's fine. You'll just get a little bit more of a workout. But let me just get this. So I'll weigh it in here, and then if you're doing it, does everybody have a mixer, or you're gonna do it by hand?
Mixer.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll explain by hand if we need to, but if you have a mixer, it's easier. So let me just get something here.
And
So
I'm not
do
gonna be able to make, because I have the wrong kind of yeast. So I'm just watching now.
What kind of yeast do you have?
I have that, whatever you told us we'd probably have.
The
but I don't
active.
pack of it, so I can't.
I have the same thing, Cindy.
So
Yeah,
you can use that.
You can still use it.
but
yeah.
it's, you said 1.5 times.
Yeah.
Well, it's only, it's gonna be exactly what you said.
Yeah. So what I would do, if you don't want to make it now, you don't have to. Not a big deal. But if you want to make it now, then I would just so it's the exact amount. I would take the quantities that I have and just multiply it by 0.75.
Okay,
And you'll make a little bit less, but you'll be fine.
okay, got it.
I'm actually going to take this and half it because we made a whole bunch of cinnamon buns for Easter, and the last thing I want is a 3- and 5-year-old with another massive plate of cinnamon buns running around my house.
So now,
You-
okay.
You could bring it over to your really nice neighbor.
Yeah. Do I have your phone real quick? So I can check it? All right, so there's a
So
measure.
that would be, so if you're using the active dry yeast, that would be 5 teaspoons?
No, it would be 3 3/4.
Okay.
1.75. Yep. So in general, do your dry ingredients first, like get them all in there, and then after that, you're gonna put your milk in, or whatever wet ingredients you have. That would be butter as well. If you put those in first and then put the flour in, it's gonna just cake. It's not gonna do anything. So let me just calculate this out for me really quick. But I always start with my flour. Put that on the bottom. Okay. And like I said, this one's pretty forgiving. So like you don't have to be ultra precise, but especially if you want to learn how to do this well, I would try to be precise to start. And then once you learn it, then it's a lot easier to back off on precision because you kind of know what it should be doing and you know what it looks like in that regard. If that all makes sense. I use kosher salt. It doesn't really matter what you use. The biggest thing would be, I wouldn't use iodized salt. Just because I have noticed like differences of taste when you do that, but then also it's a lot of iodine. So,
Uh-oh.
if you have it. If not, it's not going to kill you. So, you know, and obviously I'm not a dietitian either. That's just me spitballing.
So Dan, you said to put all the dry ingredients in first?
Yep.
Oh, the flour, the sugar, and the everything.
Yep, so I just
Okay.
kind of work my way down, and then once I get to the milk, before that I stop, and then we'll mix it in. You know, we'll just kind of mix all those together.
So the yeast too, huh?
Yep, I put the yeast in there too.
And is there any, okay.
So so this is the sugar.
3 tablespoons of sugar?
Yep. And I'll do this. Okay. All right, so now I have all my dry ingredients in there. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna put it in here. I'm gonna take the paddle on your mixer, if you have a paddle. Will look like this. So just use that to start. And whenever I make a dough, I always start with the paddle just to kind of get everything going together. So I'm just gonna mix that and let it kind of run. You can see it there. But just to kind of get good and mixed up. And then I'm gonna get some milk in a second. Now I only have skim milk, but any milk will work fine. And frankly, the fattier the milk, the tastier it'll probably be. So if you have like a 2% or whole milk, try that out, you know. But we only have skim, and I'm not one to go out and buy. I'm not going to go buy, heavier milk to make cinnamon buns.
Do we put our milk in there now then, Dan?
Hold up. So before you put the milk in, put it in the microwave for like 40 seconds, just to warm it up. So it's not super cold. Now, that doesn't matter a whole lot, but one thing that you will notice is, depending on the recipe, they may call for different temperatures of liquid. And the reason why they're calling for different temperatures of liquid is they're just it's another way to control the rise time. So by making it warm, that's going to make this rise faster. Then we're going to put it in the fridge. So kind of like, we'll slow it down within there. But like if I had a warm or hot liquid and then let it rise right away, once again, that's a big area where you got to just be on top of it to make sure you're not going to overproof it and have it not work out.
So we're not putting the cinnamon in now, right?
No, not yet. So the cinnamon and all that is actually part of. So I'll show you that.
Oh, we spread that over the dough?
Yep, I'll explain that when we get.
Okay, all right.
So I had my milk warm. Before I put that in there, I'm gonna put my butter in there. Now this is actually salted butter. Normally I would never use salted butter because it already has a good amount of salt in there, but that's all I could get. So there wasn't any regular butter. It's quarantine life for you. So we'll take salted. And
Hey, Dan, didn't I see somewhere in the recipe too that you could use oil instead of butter?
Yep. Yeah, if you can use oil. I've never actually made buns with oil, but it's
Okay.
I would imagine that, and this is not remotely a slight, so don't take it at. You probably won't notice the difference. Like I would notice the difference just because I made it once. But making it the first time around, you're not going to notice it. So
Okay.
I just take to do the butter. I just cut it, and then I'll put this in like a cup and throw it in the microwave just to make it melted as well. So notice so far, I still haven't put that milk in. I'm gonna wait to put the liquids in until I have all the liquids together. Because the second you start putting it in here, it's gonna start to form a mass. And if I do one liquid and another liquid and another liquid while waiting like 30 seconds to a minute in between, it's not gonna get incorporated very well. But I'm gonna
Too
have
late.
all the liquids together and then do it.
Too late.
It's not the end of the world. It's not.
Oh, good thing. Okay.
No, it's not the end of the world. It's not gonna,
Okay.
you're just gonna wanna make sure that, so if you find that like the butter is really coating the outside and not getting in, then what I would do is stop it when we're kind of halfway mixing it, break it up into a bunch of different chunks, just kind of mix it together. You might do that once or twice, and then it'll get pretty well incorporated.
So I should put the butter in now with the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients?
So where are you at right now?
All the dry ingredients, and then I just put the milk in.
Then I would throw the butter in right now if you have it. Is
Okay.
it melted?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
is the butter melted?
It's not melted. It's soft.
Okay,
Should I milk it?
I would get it pretty well melted. That way it
Okay.
incorporates pretty well.
Andy and Margot, how are you guys doing?
What's that?
I was asking Andy and Margot how they're doing.
Here, I can unmute. There you go.
Andy and Margot, how are you guys doing?
We're doing all right.
We're doing.
Should we
Any
put the lemon-
questions?
What'd you say?
All right.
Should we put the lemon
What'd you say?
in with the wet, with the liquids?
I'm sorry?
Should we put the lemon in with the liquids? We haven't mixed it into the dry. Okay.
You can do either. So I don't. I know a lot of breads, like they'll say, like put your yeast in there, let it like kind of activate. I never do that, and I never notice a difference. So like
Okay.
I think 20, 30 years ago, it would have made a big, like the type of yeast they had then would have made a difference. But like now, like the type of yeast, not.
Oh, wow.
Here is where.
You have them again.
So here's, I just muted Kara, sorry.
Yeah.
Here's where me talking is the best thing because I'm an awful multitasker, but I put too much butter in, is what I did. So you'll notice, probably a good, I'll say I did just because I want to teach everybody how to do stuff. We'll go with that. But this is very soupy now. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's very soupy. And so if you happen to screw it up, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. What I'm going to do is I'll just slowly add flour back in there until I get it to the consistency that I want. Okay, that's not, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to kill it.
Because mine's very dry, very like the bread that we made a few weeks ago. That's the consistency,
It's got to
Dan.
be drier than that.
Okay.
So actually,
How did your bread come out, Debbie, that we made? That you
Really
made?
good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was really good.
this is the dough that I made yesterday. Now this is cold, so it gets less sticky when you put it in the fridge. But I don't know. Yeah, I can put it up here. But you can see, like, when I described kind of like touch stuff last time, so sticky is if I touch it, and if I pull my hand up, if there's dough sticking to it, that's a sticky. A tacky is if I touch it, and I pull my hand up, and it feels like a Post-it note. This is very minorly tacky. So if I pull it up, I feel a little stick, but you can see my hand, nothing is sticking to it.
And that's what you want.
It's very kind of like velvety. That's not a hard thing to describe outside of if you imagine kind of what the velvet or a felt feels like. It feels like it's rich. That's clearly not this because I wasn't paying attention to put too much stuff in here. So I'm going to just put a little bit of flour in here. And you can see this isn't like a science, it's me spitballing. I'm just gonna add it in here, give it a second to kind of incorporate it in.
Hey, Dan, as you're doing that,
Yep.
for mine that's really tacky, as I touch it, very sticky, what would you recommend? I put more milk in it?
No, it should be tacky.
Okay.
You're probably fine. Yeah.
Okay.
You want a when it comes out of there, it's going to be a slightly sticky, very tacky.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
For right now.
Can I interject? Oh, go ahead.
So once you get it mixed in, then you got to switch to the dough hook. Okay, so if you have one of these, put that on there, and then just let your mixer run for like, 4 or 5 minutes. It should incorporate into a ball. Like, it's gonna end up. Now this is once again, this is a quarter or a half of that recipe I put in the chat. So this is a small amount. You'll have more, but it will come into a ball and just kind of mix around with that.
And what if you don't have one of those attachments? I can't find mine.
You can do it with the dough hook. It's just better to have, or sorry, you can do it with the paddle.
Yeah.
But a dough hook.
And just let it go.
Yeah, just let it go. It'll be fine. Or if you want to get a workout, you can just take it out and eat it yourself. Get some good
Yeah, that's okay. I'll pass on the workout.
I mean, we are making cinnamon buns after all, so I was expecting,
This is not an exercise video.
Yeah. This isn't a health food.
Yeah, but it's not all that hard to to knead it. So if you don't have a dough hook, what I did for you.
Yeah, this is a simple one. Now it's a little harder, like compared to the last bread that we had. It will be more than that. You can't do the stretch and fold with this one. But you see here, it's still very wet. I don't know if you can see my bowl or not. It's still very wet, but it's not getting better.
Margaret, let me see yours. You said that you're just doing it by hand?
Yep.
Let me see
Yep,
your consistency.
You see that?
Yeah, is it sticky? Yeah.
It's a little sticky.
Okay.
So you're gonna want to knead it until it's, I would say, like more on the tacky side than the sticky side.
Okay.
But it's not going to be the end of the world if it's not. So I'm almost at the level where I want it with this dough. While I'm doing that, since this doesn't really matter for everybody, but I can pull out this other dough and we can take a run at it. That's what we do the day when you come back and you want to make it. But I mean, this is a nice thing to just note. Like once again, there's very few things that you can do here that if you put too much or too little, within reason, obviously, that's not fixable. If you like dump a cup of salt in it, then I'd probably get rid of it. But outside of that, for the most part, anything that you do can be solved once you kind of know what you're doing. And the biggest thing here, especially with the flour to liquid ratio, is just look at the ratio. So I know nobody likes to do math, but ideally what you would be doing, there you go. So Cindy's on my but what you would do is just look at, like most bread, like the critical piece there is what that hydration ratio is. So how much liquid the flour. And when you screw up, like what I just did, I would note that I know how much in grams butter I put in there. I could actually calculate how much flour I should put back in there if I wanted to. Now, I'm not that industrious and I don't really care that much, so I'm just gonna kind of throw it in there and eyeball it. But
I'm gonna call you Cindy. She's the math wizard, so I'll call her.
You gave me the thumbs up when I said that people don't like to do that.
Because you're not smiling. Okay, sorry.
Debbie, smile.
So, but I can tell you, like once again, just to kind of reiterate don't be afraid if something happens. Like my grandma she did. She's no longer with us, but she used to make the best cinnamon buns ever. And she
Really?
like not even like work with a recipe book. She just kind of would throw stuff in by
Wow.
hand, whatever else. And so, it doesn't have to be. It's not rocket science. It just takes a little while.
To what consistency are we kneading this? I mean, I got all mine kneaded and I don't know. What?
We're the tacky, you said, right? Tacky?
Should we keep kneading it till it's smooth?
Here, 1 second. All right, I'm going to throw mine in with the dough hook. We're good there. Just put that out of the way so we have some space. So we've been kneading it probably for what, 2-3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where depending on how technical we want to get. And with cinnamon buns, this doesn't really matter. With bread, this would matter. If you want to tell if you've kneaded it enough, there's a thing called a window pane test, which what you're going to do is I'm going to take a very small amount of dough. So I have like this. Now this probably won't work very well with this because fat. There's fat in the dough. There's milk and there's butter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch it out to the point where ideally I can see through it without it breaking. Okay. So you can't. I doubt you can see that, but with mine, I can see light through here pretty easily. You know, it might look like a full film there, but what that tells me is that this dough that I made yesterday was kneaded enough. If you get to the point where you're stretching that out and it rips before you can see a good amount of light through it, then just knead it some more. You know.
Dan, when you said the window test, I thought you meant you were going to throw the dough against the window.
Like spaghetti.
Yeah. All right, so I have my dough from yesterday. So once you have that kneaded, what you're going to do is just get a bowl, spray it with some cooking spray.
Yep.
And, cover it in saran wrap, and then put it in the fridge.
All right, so how big of a bowl, Dan? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
How big of a bowl?
It's going to probably double in size.
Okay.
So enough to enough to do that. Like I would do two and a little bit extra at the minimum, you know, if you're running low on space, which I know for me, I usually do because I have a lot of bread in the fridge. So, but when you're ready to do this the next day, or whenever you want to make this, what you do is, 1 second, sorry. We're going to get out a trusty rolling pin. And make some popcorn. Okay. We're going to have a little popcorn in the background. Sorry. You can go ahead.
I can smell it.
All right. So I'm going to
Hey,
roll.
Dan, so this is for tomorrow, right? This is tomorrow?
Yep. So tomorrow. So I just
Okay.
made this
Yep.
yesterday, so that way we could actually go through the whole process on there. So
Thank
once
you.
you and you're happy, just let it go. And so what I'll do is I'm going to roll this out, and you'll see. Can you guys hear me, or is that too loud?
No, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
What you'll see I do is I keep kind of flipping it around, try and keep it relatively rectangular or square. Now this is a small amount. If you're doing a full batch, like a full tray, that recipe I have in there, you're probably going to get it to be about, probably 12 inches by 15 inches would be my guess is what your goal is to roll it out. You want to get it to be about a 1/4 inch thick, So this is still too thick. So I'm going to keep rolling it. Try to make a square. You want to try and keep it as square as possible because that will just make life easier. You want to roll it together.
Hey, Dan, can you fix your phone so we can see? I just see your upper body. I don't see any of the dough or what you're doing.
Can you see that or no?
No. Oh, that's
You talking to
better.
Dan?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Who are you talking to?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah.
All right. So this, once again, is a small now. But what you're going to do is when you first take it out right away, like we're not going to wait to let it rise or anything. We're going to shape it right away. So we'll roll it out. What I'm going to do now is I'll melt some more butter, and then I have a cinnamon sugar mix, which I'll tell you I'll put that in the chat at the end of this. And we'll kind of coat it. This is not precise, by the way. Like this part here is not like, hey, let's be really super precise. It's throw a bunch of sugar and butter and cinnamon on this, and probably the more the merrier is kind of my mentality on it. So, in a second, I'm gonna go melt some more butter.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
That second page, I think it's page 141. Can you send it to me? I'll send it to everybody else. The one that tells us like for tomorrow what to do? Because I only have that
Yeah,
first page
yeah.
of the ingredients and the
Yeah, I'll-
toppings. In case I forget. Thank you.
Melt that out. And, so I already actually have a bunch of cinnamon sugar pre-mixed because like I find the recipe tells you to make way too much. And I just put it in a jar, and the next time I make them, I have it. But I'll send you that. I'll send you that amount for next time, and then we will do this. So once again, you're gonna notice this is not like a rocket science here. I'm just gonna dump all the butter on here. I don't even think I really measured it ahead of time. There's good hair there. That's nice. Well, I forgot a bakery. And there's the parchment paper for the butter. So I'm on a roll today, guys. We're doing good. All right, I'm gonna put some more flour in this. All right, so I've coated pretty much the whole thing here with butter, because that sounds like a good time. And what I will do from there is just take this cinnamon sugar mix and just dump a whole ton of it on. You're not going to really be able to move it around too much once you get it on there, so just kind of get it where you want it. But I mean, this is not a health food, so I would not be shy. You know. And then we'll just kind of paint that on there as well. Once again, just want to make sure everything's kind of covered. Was there a question? Somebody have a question?
No, Teresa was coughing.
Okay. All right.
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's probably from
Did
the
I infect
cinnamon.
anybody?
Where's your mask?
Where's your mask?
I'm sorry.
Very good.
And
It's
just,
probably the
Okay,
cinnamon
Cindy.
that made
Cindy
you
has a
cough.
question.
okay,
All right, Cindy has a question.
okay. My question is, so when you were talking earlier about spraying oil in the bowl or whatever, that's what you do to leave it in overnight in the refrigerator?
Yeah. In general, I'm a very big proponent of just spraying the crap out of everything you do with bread because it's very sticky. And the last thing you want to be doing is like scraping it with your hands or a bowl scraper once there. So just and I failed. I normally spray the counter here too. I didn't do that. That's why you see me kind of picking it up to make sure it doesn't stick. Unfortunately, this is not a very sticky dough, so it's not going to be the end of the world. But normally I'd spray the counter here before I even do that. So this won't stick here.
Okay, and then just cover it with saran wrap.
Yep. Yeah, you're supposed to be airtight.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked, Cindy. Thank you. I didn't do that.
Okay. So now we're at the point where we are going to roll it and make buns out of it. I can do the traditional way, which is kind of like that rolled shape, or I can do a fancy way. What would you guys prefer? Doesn't matter.
Fancy.
Fancy.
Okay. So if I was to do the traditional way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this, and I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to take the edge up and just kind of roll it and then roll it in there until I kind of a log that way. The fancier way is I'm going to do kind of like the envelope thing where I'm going to fold it kind of a third up, a third down. I'm going to try and get it so that way these edges all match up, so that way everything's even. You guys see what I'm doing so far?
Yep.
Yep.
So now this is where, depending on how anal you are about making sure everything's even, if you do the full recipe, you're going to want 12. This is 6. And so my general methodology about doing that without, because I'm not I don't really care if it's not perfect, is I'm going to come in here and get about half. You can see I have I usually use something like this to kind of have an idea. But I come in here, I get about half. I'll cut half. Okay. And so now each of these little mini logs should be about 3 buns. And so then I just cut these into thirds. And so with 12, I'll do that twice. So I'll do half, and then I'll do each of those logs half again, and then I'll cut it into thirds. Because cutting the thirds is not hard. Cutting it 6 ways evenly is, at least for me, not the easiest. And so I will cut these that way. Okay. And so now I have 6 small buns. Okay. And these will rise a lot. And so now the fancy way is what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it about half an inch from the end of this. I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to cut all the way down. Okay. I'm going to do that twice. So I have 3 little things here, and I have about half an inch here. Now you can see I'm not measuring it. It's not like it really matters. Now I have
Like a
these-
bear claw,
What's that? Yeah,
like a bear claw.
exactly. And
Yeah.
then we'll braid it over each other, and then we'll
Oh.
roll it into each other, and we'll get like a nice little. Well, that one's nice.
Wait,
But-
wait, wait, wait. Do the braid again. You went so fast.
Yeah, I'll do it. I have 6 of these, so we have plenty. Let me find
Well,
out.
I'm impressed.
I am too.
Really impressed.
So let me spray this real quick.
Don't you guys wish you lived in Chattanooga next to Dan Nice?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I'm in Rome and I'm really impressed too.
That there. All right, so once again, about half inch to the end, like maybe your thumb width. Take it, cut it, 2 cuts. Okay, you want to make sure it's cut all the way down so we have even amounts. All right, and this isn't as wide as I'd like it. Like I think it's easier when you do it with the full thing because these are longer. So these are kind of stubby. But what I'll do is take the one side, pull it over, pull the other side over, and I
Yeah.
kind of roll it up into it, and they'll become a little braided,
That's fancy.
fancy little cinnamon buns. Now, what I did, the first time I did it, Debbie, was when I made those for Easter for you. What I did then was I put them in a muffin pan and baked it that way. You can do that if you want. I'm not going to do it again. I find they just cook way faster than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
That's why they got a little overcooked in my opinion. Other than big
They were
fan.
delicious.
But so same type of thing. Cut it, and this is not remotely like necessary. Obviously, hopefully you guys know that. If you want to do it, do it. If not, just roll them up and cut them into buns, and it's still gonna be delicious. It's not going to change anything, you know. And so I just come in here and we'll just fold it over and kind of roll it, and do that. And so I'll just do these a couple more times.
If you were going to do it just the regular way, would you put it on the cookie? Would you put it in a pan cut side down?
You're going to put it in the pan ugly side down.
Ugly side down.
So so whatever.
Show me with the one that you have cut here, but you haven't. Show me
I
with.
see what you're saying. You're doing it with the braided side. These are kind of cutting out, you know. So if I'm going to do the rolls, so let me back up. Just do the regular roll.
Yeah.
Whatever the ugliest side is, put it on the bottom because then it's going to rise out and you won't see it. If I'm doing these, you're going to put the braided side up. So you kind of roll it up. You'll have kind of a flat end in the bottom, and you'll have the braided side up. And then that's going to blossom or bloom, if you want to call it that. To do that. So this is good now.
Hey, Dan, this is going to be a stupid question, but as we're waiting for the yeast to rise, the dough, does that stay out on the counter or does it go in the refrigerator?
Put it in the fridge.
Okay.
Wait. You're talking about what I'm doing?
I could do that now?
Wait.
No, what I'm doing.
What you're doing, put that in the fridge. So you want your thing to be in the fridge overnight.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yep. And so almost done with these. And this is really it. So then once I get this done.
And you're going to put those all in that small white dish you have?
Yeah, because I made like a quarter. I made a quarter recipe just because I'm.
Oh, okay. We have six in there, right?
Yeah, I'll have 6 in there. Yeah, and they're gonna get real big, you know.
Hey, Dan, do you have any done yet for your neighbor?
Well, these are what I'm working on right now. So, so you want to be around in a couple hours.
I'll meet you at the fence.
Yeah.
That's it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it rise. I think it's 2 hours. You see.
Where are you going to let it rise? Right on your counter
Yep.
with a towel over it or anything?
With saran wrap, or I prefer like saran wrap or something airtight.
Do you oil the top of them?
In this one I don't, because it's not a super sticky dough.
Okay.
In the case of like the bread that we made last time, I
Yeah.
would really oil the top of that because it's very sticky.
So the saran wrap won't stick to that once it rises.
No, these aren't very sticky. So
Okay.
so
Show,
yeah.
can you show us the bowl with the things in it?
Sure. I don't know if you guys see it very well or not. These are kind of stubby because it's a small.
Okay. Okay. I can't imagine you're going to cook them in there. That looks so small, but.
Yeah, well, I've never cooked it in there before, so it could be an awful idea, but we'll find out.
Okay. Okay.
Normally I have a big pan, but since I'm doing a half recipe,
Okay.
this seems, well, it's the first
Dan.
time I saw in there that was small, so I figured we'll give it a shot.
Janice,
my-
Teresa. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have a question. Do these freeze well?
I've never tried it, but I would imagine they would. Most of the things I
Okay.
do freeze well, so, you know, and you could, what you
And
could is,
I've never done it either, but Betty Lou used to even freeze them at this point and then bake them off.
yeah,
Like salt them, let them raise and bake it off. So,
Oh.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would
but
freeze
after the
it,
bake, you
and
certainly can
let
freeze
it
them
rise.
also.
Huh.
Yeah. So I've frozen like the dough ball before, you know, and like that's my mom. What she said, like what I would do in this case is I could freeze it when you make them and just put them in that way. But then obviously the thing I'll say is that when you let it come out, you gotta, this is where it might be a little trickier, is you're gonna want to let it ride, but you're not gonna know when to let it ride because essentially, it's not rising when it's frozen. So you'll have to have that piece in there. So it might be like if you put it in the freezer, then take it out, put it in the fridge for like 12 hours or whatever, let it defrost that way and get it back to fridge temp, and then take it out and do what you would normally do with it. You know?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really it. So I'd cover these, let it rise for 2 hours, about 20 minutes or so before you bake it, preheat to 350. And then you're gonna bake for about probably 20 minutes or so. Every oven's kind of different. But you just want to get them so they look nice and brown, you know, not burnt, but yeah. And then the frosting or whatever is kind of the afterwards. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do like via an icing, you know, which is probably more the classic cinnamon bun, or you can do like a sticky bun, which is more like a brown sugar base. Let me ask on there, like, do people want the icing, or would they like? I mean, we want icing. Okay. Does
Icing.
anybody care about the sticky bun? Because that's the part that's different.
No, icing.
Okay, then we won't talk about it. So icing's easy. You just put the sugar, it's powdered sugar and milk together. You mix it up into the icing, and then just dump that on top, and call it a day. The sticky bun takes a little bit, like that one. You would actually make this stuff beforehand, put it on the bottom of the pan, put the buns on it, and then bake them that way. And then you're gonna flip them out, and that's how you get that kind of sticky, caramelized.
Dan, I'm going to ask you a question. When you're saying powdered sugar and milk, you don't put any butter in it?
Not for that. I mean, you could.
Okay. Okay. Well, then talk about the sticky buns, because you never know. We might want that.
Yeah, I'd like to know that too.
Yeah. So I'll send you the. What do you have to me? No, I don't need milk. I'm getting questions from the gallery now.
Mute them.
It was a valid question. So the sticky buns, I'll send you the recipe. But essentially, what you would do is before putting the buns in the pan, you're gonna cover the bottom of the pan with that sticky bun kind of slurry.
Right.
And then you're gonna put the buns in there. And in that instance, what you'll want to do is put the ugly side up, or the flat side up, because what happens is you bake it, you pull it out, and then once it cools, you got to let it cool a little bit, but not completely. You're going to take it and flip it. And then all that slurry kind of comes off the top, and it covers everything. And they're just kind of coated in a brown caramel,
Fabulous goodness.
Yeah, exactly. Just pure sugar.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Quick
And,
question.
Margot.
Yes.
Margot, Was that Judy that just joined?
Yes.
Hey, Judy.
Hi, Judy.
I thought that was your number.
Yep.
We're just finishing up, but we're going to send you the recipe and get you all the information so you'll be all set.
I forgot you're an hour after us or before us. It's only 4 o'clock
Yeah.
here.
Sorry. I thought I put Eastern time. I'm sorry.
You probably did, and I just didn't look at it.
Anyway, you can't make them in your car.
Oh, no, I can't, but I was going to watch. I was going to watch so I could make them when I got home.
So just to kind of finalize on there, the dough that I was making today that I screwed up because I put too much butter in it, I just added kind of a tablespoon and a shot of flour until it got to the point where it looked good. And this is what you would essentially have to do if you didn't have a scale anyway, is that you want to make sure that the consistency and the feel is what it should be. And so in this case, you know, what I did is I kept adding flour to it. If you don't have a scale and the texture is not right, you could either be adding flour or adding milk. You know, whichever, you know, if it's too dry, add milk. If it's too sticky or not. But what you'll see, you know, once again, this is a slightly tacky. You can't even do it. So if I pull my hand off there's no dough coming off. You know, so slightly tacky, feels kind of like a Post-it note. And I'm just gonna take that and put it in the bowl, and we'll have cinnamon buns for days for the nice household. So.
I'm going to sign off. Thanks, Dan. I have to FaceTime with my grandchildren.
Yep, no worries.
Okay, and don't forget the cereal Zoom tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Dan. I'll let you know how they came out. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dan,
You're muted, Debbie. You go ahead.
this Teresa, I'm about to run out of battery. Is the book you said, The Bread Baker's Apprentice, Mastering the Art of Extraordinary Bread?
Yeah, that's one of his books. This is when I first got. Now I would just if you're looking on Amazon, you can probably look at the table of contents.
That's okay.
That should have all the recipes in there.
Yeah, it's about $20 on Amazon, it said.
Okay, that might be right. I think this
Okay.
one was a little bit cheaper, but I mean it was years ago when I bought it too, so it could have been.
What I generally do is go into the bookstore and look at it and decide if I want to buy it.
Yep.
What kind of flour did you use? Did I miss that part?
So I use bread flour. This one you can normally use regular flour, but I only have bread flour.
Oh, when you say bread flour, that's new to me. What does that mean?
Like a high gluten flour.
Where do you buy that?
The supermarket.
Okay, because they were out of I always use I think Martha White. I do a lot of baking,
Okay.
and I love Martha White, but the shelves were wiped clean yesterday.
Okay.
And so I ended up getting like 2 small bags, and I wasn't sure that they were going to work or not.
Dan, tell them where you really get it from.
I buy the bread flour. The reason why I only have bread flour is I buy it in 50-pound bags at Costco. So
okay.
So if you want a 50-pound bag, go to Costco.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite thing to bake or cook?
So the thing I probably bake most often, we do pizza every week. So we cook that, and that's always really good. The bread that I made last time, we make that a lot. Pretzels is always a hit. It's more of like a party thing.
Yeah.
Pretzels, but they're a good one just because I think I've yet to make them where we bring them someplace and they're not completely eaten. So that's a good.
Do you have a good cheese sauce? I'm looking for a good cheese sauce.
So I just kind of eyeball it. I make a roux, and then I'll add some milk to it, and then I'll throw kind of handfuls of cheddar in there, like a good cheddar, and then a little bit of like a Dijon or a spicy mustard, like a tablespoon.
You put beer in it?
I don't put any beer in it, but that's because we don't usually have beer in the house. So.
Okay, well, I don't drink beer either, so I'd have to probably buy a 6-pack in order to get one.
Yeah, I don't do.
And I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's my thing too. It's like I'm
oh darn.
You know, it's not. I'm not gonna buy it just for it. You know, but yeah, if I had beer, you could. I would do a darker beer. You know, one that had a lot of flavor versus like a Pilsner or something. You know.
So Dan, maybe we could do that next time, our next class. Okay.
Pretzels.
Yep.
Okay.
Ooh, yum.
We can do that.
Okay, good.
So.
All right. Any other questions? I know it's coming up to the hour. Anybody have any questions?
So we want to, us from New Hampshire, we want to say thank you so much. This was fun.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, that's nice. I'm glad you guys came.
And thank you. I will definitely let you know how they turn out.
I don't know if you guys can hear
Yes,
us. It's
thank
frozen on
you.
our end.
If you guys have
Thank
any
you,
issues, just
Cindy.
let me know. I'm happy to kind of troubleshoot.
If you guys can send me a picture
Hey.
of your final product, then I'll share it with Dan also, okay?
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody.
See you guys. Bye.